Hello everybody and welcome to my COVID routine. Probably a bit gross and a bit TMI, but how much of my hair had just landed in my skincare drawer and was stuck to all my skincare bottles. So there is literally this woman that sits at a desk all day outside the public toilets, or sometimes even inside. Hello everybody and welcome back to my podcast, Esme's Country Life. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about basically how I've been ill for the week with COVID, and also I'm going to be talking about my experience on a horse simulator. But before we begin, I just want to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of the podcast, Red Post. Red Post is an equestrian and country store based in the UK, but they also ship all over the world. And at the moment, Red Post actually have a summer sale on, so go and check it out. They have up to 70% off on some of their products, so go and take a little look. There might be some things that you need, especially as, it's the summer sale. Anyway, so go and check it out. But anyway, thank you again to Red Post for sponsoring the podcast. And anyway, let's get into today's episode, which I feel like if you listen to last week's episode, you will know that at the beginning of me talking, and I was like, guys, just a little disclaimer, think I'm coming down with something. think I've got a little bit of a sore throat, so if I sound like a man or sound different, that is why. So anyway, I thought, you know what, it's just going to be like a little cold that maybe I picked up while I was traveling. To be fair, while I was in Germany, I was working quite hard, probably not getting enough sleep as I should, so it wasn't a surprise that I came down with something. To be fair, I don't think I have been ill since, I feel like I update you on everything. You guys like my besties. I'm like, okay, so last time I was ill, I think it was that weird period between Christmas and New Year. I had a horrible cold. I was really ill then. But yeah, have not been ill since. So I've been lucky. I've made it to July, but I thought, it's going to be a little sniffle, a bit of a cold. You know when sometimes you just wake up in the morning and your throat just feels a little bit, you're like, I'm coming down with something. But sometimes I get that. And then the next day, completely fine, let's go. In this case, it was not. And I was very grateful that I recorded last week's podcast episode when I started to feel a little bit ill, because I was like, okay, I need to get this podcast episode done so I don't miss a week, so you guys have something to listen to over the weekend. So I was very glad that I was prepared and did that. But yes, anyway, after feeling a bit ill, I thought, this illness isn't just like any cold. It's, when you get like a bit of a cotton wool head, and to be fair, I didn't get too much of a sniffles. Didn't get too much of a runny nose. Had a bit of a cough. Felt it a bit in my chest, and I thought, is this the old COVID? So did do a COVID test, and that when I did it, it was like bam, positive. Before it even got to the control line, the test line, it was like boom, I'm here. Hello. Come and see me, you have COVID. So there we go. So I was like, okay, lovely. So that does mean all the exciting things that I was supposed to do last week was cancelled. So that was very sad. I actually had quite a busy week planned. So I was absolutely gutted because on the Thursday, I was supposed to be going to Goodwood to the Festival of Speed with my dad, my brother, and my brother's girlfriend, and we were going to go, the four of us. It was supposed to be amazing. I mean, they went. They had a fabulous time. They got to see all of the F1 cars, and as you guys know, I'm a bit of an F1 girly. I was so jealous. They were sending me all the photos and the videos. Although my dad was like, he made some stuff up. He was like, oh yeah, we saw all the F1 drivers. We got you their signature, that kind of thing. They got me a piece of paper, and then my dad was like, look, it was signed by Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, because it was like the McLaren one. And I was like, Dad, I can literally see that this is printed out. It's not an actual signature that they've signed. They've printed out. You lied to me. So there we go. But I was still very grateful that they took me home a little something. But it did mean that my granddad got to go to Goodwood instead. He had my ticket and he had a lovely day out. So there we go. I'm glad that my granddad had a lovely day. But maybe next year we could go, all of us and my granddad. He can come too. But anyway, I was very sad that I didn't get to go. And it sounded really fun. But anyway, I do enough shows as it is in my job, so I'm very lucky that I get to go to all the horsey things. So I guess it would have been like a horsey thing, but with cars. That's the best way I can describe it. The other thing that I was absolutely gutted to miss was the RDA Nationals, the Riding for the Disabled National Championships at Hartpury. I've been the last few years and I always love to go and cheer everyone on, meet up with everyone, and it's just such a lovely event. The best way I can describe it is, I think I've kind of described it like this before, but it's honestly like everyone coming together for like a wedding. Like everyone knows each other, everyone is so supportive and so lovely, and just, I don't know, it's just the best vibes. And I was so sad to miss it because Princess Anne, she was there as well, and she was doing the prize giving, and then she was poorly, and then they were like, Esme, can you do the prize giving? And then I was poorly, and then she got better, so she managed to do the prize giving in the end. So it was all good that at least somebody went and got to do the prize giving. But hopefully next year I will be able to come and it will be better, because I was like, obviously, I was ill. I was not in a fit state to be meeting people and saying hi. And also, I did not want to be the COVID super spreader at the RDA Nationals. I did not want to be that person giving everyone COVID. So I am all good now, as you can probably tell. I'm not 100%. Like, I do sometimes get a bit of long COVID, so like a week after, even though if I'm testing negative or I'm feeling better, I am just a little bit more sleepy. I might have a little afternoon nap, which I feel like I'm going to expose myself here. But I'm the sort of person where you guys know, I'm an early bird. I love to wake up early, but sometimes I do like to have an afternoon nap. Now, as you can see in our office, we have a sofa. And sometimes after lunch, I'll have a little lie down on the sofa and I'll just have a little power nap. I think I am a professional napper. I can sleep anywhere, at any time, in any place. If I just have a lie down and close my eyes, I can go to sleep. And I have perfected my napping skills, because I have a lot of friends and they're like, I don't know how you can nap. If I nap, I am so groggy. I hate life. I wake up and it's just like, you just have, that feeling where you wake up in the morning like, oh, I have to be awake. They're like, you just have that twice. They're like, why do you do it? And I'm like, no, it's perfect. I have perfected my napping, so I will nap exactly for about 20 minutes and I won't go into a deep sleep. It will just be like a light sleep. And I can always tell that I've actually like properly slept rather than just dozed, because I don't know if anybody else gets this, but after a nap, you get that kind of like nap mouth where your mouth gets a bit dry and you're like, okay, I need to drink something. I need to drink some water. I also am that person that drinks a lot of water. But anyway, so and then I wake up and I feel great. I feel like I've just had like a coffee or something. I am ready to go. So, afternoon naps. They are great. So I probably will be having a lot of afternoon naps the next week. I had one today. I had my little nap. I woke up, put a bit more makeup on than usual so I don't look really poorly. And I'm like, let's film a podcast. Let's go. But also, apparently, I think they've done like studies and things that if you do have a nap, then it's good for you. And also, you can wake up after a nap and feel more creative. So I don't know, let me know if today's podcast, although I am a bit ill, so maybe it won't be as creative. But so yeah, I was very gutted that I got to miss those two things. But I'm all good now. And it could have been worse. There could have been bigger things that I could have missed, I mean, they were quite big, especially the RDA Nationals. That was really sad. But you know what? I'm here, I'm alive, I'm all good. Anyway, so luckily, work-wise, I managed to get all my videos and everything done at the beginning of the week. So I was organised gal. But yeah, I thought I would tell you what I was going to be like, hello everybody and welcome to my COVID routine. Because you might be thinking, well, Esme, if you're just poorly, well, you're probably just lying in bed all day. Which, to be fair, I did do a lot of that. But you guys know I am that person where I can't sit still. So I thought I would tell you all the things that I got up to while I was poorly. Now, I feel like I also kind of jinxed this because in last week's podcast episode, I was talking about like, oh yeah, I never get bored. I only boring people get bored. Like I can always think of something to do. And to be fair, I didn't get bored, but did I get restless? Yes, and I feel like they're two different things. I did keep myself busy though, so I didn't get bored. I also managed, I kind of had a week of getting all the little bits and bobs around the cottage done that I've been needing to do, but haven't done yet. So What did I do? You guys can guess. You know me, I love organising things and I love cleaning things. So basically, I just spent a week of napping and then getting my energy back after a nap, doing some tidying, doing some cleaning, having another nap, doing some tidying, doing some cleaning, maybe watching a film. And then because I don't know, even though I was like, hey, Esme, you need to lie down, you need to rest, you need to get your strength back. I was like, okay, I've been lying on the sofa for too long. I've been sat still for too long. I need to do something. So I actually had so much fun. Like, you're going to be like, Esme, this is so sad. But like, I cleaned out my pots and pan drawer. I like organised it all. Also, when you're tidying and cleaning, it is always quite fun because you always find things where you're like, oh my gosh, I thought I'd lost this. I don't know where it came from. Or like you forget that you like have things. Like I found my old school like ID in I was going through like my bedside tables and things. And you always find like some interesting bits and bobs. So I had a lot of fun tidying. I'm trying to think of what other things I did. Oh, do you know what was so fun? I reorganised my whole skincare drawer in my bathroom because I have a bad habit of, I'm the sort of person where I brush my hair in the morning in the bathroom rather than in my dressing room, which is somewhat good and somewhat bad because I saw this video online. It was like girls' bedroom floors and it was just like all the hair like stuck to the floor that somebody had got. But because I do it in my bathroom, it's nice and easy to like pick up and put in the bin because I have quite a lot of hair. But anyway, what I didn't realise is I've got this bad habit of I will be brushing my hair with my kind of skincare drawer open because that's where I keep my hairbrush, and I just didn't really realise how much, this is probably a bit gross and a bit TMI, but how much of my hair had just like landed in my skincare drawer and was like stuck to all my skincare bottles. So I had so much fun reorganising it all, and now every morning I open it up and it's like, oh, the serotonin hits when you've organised something. And then this is probably so sad, but when you organise something then you open the drawer up and you're like, oh my gosh, I was expecting it to be messy, but it's all tidy and it's all organised. So that's basically, yeah, what I got up to. I also went through all of my clothes, and you know, there are some that don't like fit me anymore, or maybe, you know, like clothes that have just been like really, really, really worn, and you're like, okay, you're now no longer a normal top, you are a pajama top or a mucking around the horses doing gardening top. So had a little bit of an organise. That was quite fun. But yeah, that was a lot of my that was basically my COVID routine. I just reorganised all the cupboards and all the storage thingies in the cottage. So I'm feeling well prepared. Next up, I thought I would talk to you all about riding a horse simulator that I did recently. Now, I actually did this when I was in Germany for the horse show Aachen, but I completely forgot to tell you in last week's podcast episode. And to be fair, I did a lot of chatting in last week's podcast episode, and as you guys know, I'm good at jumping around the place, but I thought I would talk to you about it because I've done horse simulators before. I think I've only done one before, actually, and that was at an event, goodness knows, I think it was like back in 2018, 2019, so I don't know if technology has gone on since then. But it was a very quick, like, okay, hop on for 10 minutes. I was like kind of presenting as I was riding, so I was like holding a microphone, riding the horse with one hand, going around like cross-country jumps. I hadn't actually been taught properly how to use the simulator. They were like, you can ride a horse, on you get, go and do your thing. So I was doing that, trying to, you know, talk to the camera, that kind of thing. And what was really embarrassing is that I didn't realise, because, you know, I wasn't actually doing it properly. I was trying to, you know, do my job, do my presenting, wasn't really focusing on my riding. You're going to be like, Esme, excuses. But, you know, that's not what I was focusing on. And then they were like, okay, here's your score. So obviously, you know, I missed out a few jumps because I was like, okay, I need to, you know, look at the camera, that kind of thing. And my score was awful, and they put it up on this board outside the horse simulator for the rest of the event, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is mortifying. So there we go. That was the only time I've been on one. Apart from, actually, I've been on a horse simulator, but it wasn't like a riding simulator. It was actually when I did vaulting a few years back now. Oh my gosh, I really want to do it again because I had so much fun doing that. It was a little bit scary, but they had like a little fake moving horse, so I could practice doing all the moves while having that movement. So they had a stationary one, which was just like a barrel, which was like the cheap version, and then they had the really fancy kind of like moving simulator horse kind of thing. And that was really cool. But okay, sorry, I need to get back to the actual one that I did in Aachen. So this one was very cool. I walked on in and the lady was like, are you a dressage rider? Are you a show jumper, eventer? And I was like, well, I'm more of a show jumper. So she was like, okay, we'll put the show jumping saddle on. So she popped that on. I was actually quite lucky. There was a lady that went on before me, so I could kind of like listen and hear and see what she was doing so I could learn from it. And it was really cool because it was all kind of like, if you're like a bit of a data nerd like myself, it was really interesting looking at all the information. So, for example, it told you if maybe you had a little bit more pressure in one hand compared to the other, if you're a little bit weaker on one side to the other, which, you know, every rider is going to have a slightly weaker side, a bit like every horse has a weaker rein, because at the end of the day, nobody is 100% perfect. So it was interesting to see, because obviously you guys know I see my physio and trainer and I don't know, everything, Lady D from the Dynamic Performance Hub. So it was interesting seeing how I know that my I think it's my right side is weaker. So okay, how about we talk about the things that I am working on at the moment with my riding, because I don't know, I feel like that's kind of like a slightly interesting, sorry, I've gone off topic again, but I feel like it's quite interesting because everyone always has things that they need to work on. So I know that my thing that I always get shouted at by all of my trainers and instructors is my right arm. And I don't know why, but I do this thing where my right arm, I slouch a little bit, like my shoulder is just a little bit lower, and I know that because I get a lot of back pain in my right shoulder. So it's like it's really interesting how how if you have back pain or that kind of thing, it can really affect your riding. So I see a physio quite often. I see my Lady D. I've got my chiropractor person as well. Your gal, I have the back. I've said this so many times before, but I have a back of an 80-year-old woman. Like, my back is not good, which is, hopefully you guys have seen that my riding has improved over the last couple of years, and a lot of that I think is down to working with physios and actually getting my back sorted. And now, because I'm not in pain and I'm a lot more free and I can move, I'm hopefully my riding is looking a little bit prettier. So I've been working hard at that. But anyway, so yeah, right shoulder, I often get knots in and pain in. And even though I do all my exercises, I do just have to go to someone to just like boom, 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 get those knots out. I don't know if I talked about this the other day on the podcast, but yeah, I've been seeing a chiropractor for the first time. Mainly she does sports massage, but she does a little bit of chiro, because that stuff does give me the heebie-jeebies a little bit, thinking about, you know, being cracked or I don't know, that kind of thing. But I tell you what, oh my gosh, that girl, she has worked some magic, because she also does my jaw, and that has revolutionized. I'm not speaking today. Revolutionized. Is that a word? Yeah. Anyway, she's made my jaw so much better. So it means that, yeah, when I do meet and greets or photo shoots where I do a lot of smiling, I'm not in as much pain. So that is very good. But yes, so it was interesting to see. Also, I know that part of the reason the way I ride is also because of the horses that I ride. And I know that both Joey and Casper are weaker on the same rein and weaker on the same side, especially when Joey was baby Joey and younger and a little bit more green and gangly and didn't have as much muscle. A lot of the time I was trying to like not hold him up, but I don't know, help him out a little bit. So I am definitely stronger on one side than the other, because I need to be stronger on that side to stop him drifting or stop him leaning or that kind of thing. So it was very technical, which I really enjoyed, and I learned a lot from it being on the horse simulator. But also what was really fun was, I don't know how to describe it. The best way I can describe it is, if anybody else used to play like horse computer games when they were younger, or still do, because, you know, it's good fun. But it reminded me, it was so similar to this game that I used to have. This is how you know I'm old, or I don't know. Some people say shows that I'm young. Some people say shows that I'm old. But I was a Nintendo Wii girl. That was like the computer game I feel like everyone does stuff on actual computers rather than, although some people do have Nintendo Switches, which I do also have. I'm a bit of a nerd and like gaming stuff too. But anyway, it reminded me of this Nintendo Wii game that I used to love playing because I don't know, it was like you were riding a horse going around, and I had so much fun. The best way I can describe it was the same level of fun as, you know, when you first start riding and you feel so confident, because if you tell you what, if you ever lose your confidence, get on a horse simulator, because you don't have to worry about that thing bucking. You don't have to worry about that thing rearing. You don't even have to pick up its poo. You don't have to do all the, you know, looking after it, which, don't get me wrong, I love that part, and I have 4 horses and have 2 horses that aren't even ridden. I just love looking after them and love their pony cuddles. But it's, oh my gosh, it was just so easy, especially as when I was riding, some people might not have to worry about this because they might have perfectly schooled, I mean, I was going to say that, but no horse is perfect. Even, you know, Charlotte Dujardin and Lottie Fry, they're like forever training their horses, and they probably have some of the best, you know, dressage horses in the world that they're riding. But I felt like I could ride and my brain could switch off. I wasn't worrying about like, oh, I need to collect more, or oh, we need a bit more impulsion, or oh, we need a little bit. It was just like, oh, I'm on this perfect horse doing perfect things. Although my riding wasn't perfect, but the score definitely told me that it was not perfect. But I was like, I don't have to worry about falling off. Don't have to worry about, you know, it's spooking in the spooky corner. I was like, wow, I feel so confident. And I was just like, boom, easy, let's go. And it was, I tell you what, it was great for, you know, figuring out your jumping position, and you could really think about it. They also, to start with, when we first started doing the jumping, because obviously we did walk, trot, canter, I would have loved to have a little bit longer on it, because I just did, you know, working canter, but there were also options where you could get the horse to do like all the different canters, all the different trots, especially for my dressage people out there. So that was very cool. But yeah, when we first started jumping, it was kind of like grid work, so you could really like count the strides. So she was like, okay, 7 strides to the first jump, and then it's like 4 strides after that to every jump, the kind of thing. So I was like, boom, 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 and I just had so much fun. It was really good. My friend Pip, because we were in Aachen, and she came along, she was very kindly helping me do some like little filming behind the scenes, which I still need to like edit that video. I really want to make it into some sort of short format video, because it was really interesting and I had so much fun doing it. Although it was very weird, because I was riding in white flared jeans with my white Fairfax and Favour trainers with like a jacket and a shirt, and I wasn't wearing like proper riding attire, although I know all my polo peeps out there do like to wear white skinny jeans, I'm pretty sure, for riding. But I was in flares, so it felt very weird, and it felt really weird not having like riding boots on as well. So if my riding does look bad, I'm going to blame it on that I'm not wearing riding boots or the correct attire, because it felt weird. I was like, ooh, I've got, you know, my ankles are flapping in the wind. I'm not used to, you know, riding in trainers. But anyway, so that was good fun. But also when she was filming, she was like, Ez, I'm really sorry. I'm trying to film the best I can. But a lot of the shots, because you kind of needed to film from behind, so you could, you know, see the TV screen with the horse on and me riding and all that kind of stuff. She was like, I really tried to film so your bum wasn't in shot. But she was like, I'm sorry, Ez, but your bum, it was center stage in a few of the videos. So I'll have to see how I can kind of edit that so it doesn't look too dodgy. Don't want to attract the wrong sort of crowd. But anyway, so there we go. But no, if you ever have the chance to ride a horse simulator, I would really recommend, for confidence, for position, and I don't know, it almost made me re-fall in love with riding, because I was like, oh, I want to go to the next jump, that kind of thing. And I think sometimes, especially in the equestrian world, we can put so much pressure on ourselves, if that's to do with like competition and going and jumping a bigger height, or doing a high level dressage test, or doing better than last time. And also, this is a sport that a lot of people, I know we hear this all the time, but it's a sport where you win very little and lose a lot. You got to think, like with horses, things don't always go perfect. And if you look at the pros, they're not going out and winning every single time. They have poles, they have bad days, they have, you know, not so good times. So I think also it's definitely a sport where people feel bad about their riding if they're not moving up the levels or not competing at a certain height, when, you know, I just jumped on, rode a little simulated horse, and just, you know, just for the funsies. And I think I don't know. I think we need more of that in the equestrian world, of people just enjoying the sport for enjoying it, not putting too much not putting too much pressure on themselves, because at the end of the day, not everybody is going to be the top of the sport. Not everybody is going to the Olympics, and that's okay. So there we go. That was my little takeaway from riding a simulated horse. One last little culture shock that I actually had while I was in Germany, or just in Europe in general, because you guys know I had my little girls trip to Nice recently, and this is one thing that I always forget, that in a lot of mainland European countries, not all, but quite a lot of them, you have to pay to go for a wee or go to the toilet, and it catches me out every single time. I always forget. Luckily, a lot of the places, they have like you can just Apple Pay, scan, Google Pay, whatever you want to do, to, just go through. And it's like a couple of cents, or is it cents that they use in Europe? I know they use euros. I'm just like, nobody really thinks about the little monies. They think about the big monies. But we have pence rather than cents in the UK, if you want to know, or p. So which sounds a bit weird. A couple of p for a p. Anyway, so and then also me and my friend Pip, we probably looked like the most British girls ever, because we had no clue what we were doing. We were like trying to scan this thing, and then it took a while for the money to go through, and it had like, those turnstile kind of things, and we were trying to turn them to get in. It wasn't letting us through, and then it did let us through, and then we didn't realize that you had to take this receipt as you went into the toilet so you could be let out again. And then when we were trying to get out, we were literally there and looking at my dad the other side like, how do we get out? Save us, please. So, and then there was this German lady that very kindly told us, like, you just need to push the turnstiles this way, and we're like, oh, we were being so stupid. So, and oh no, the worst was when we were in Belgium. It was our first kind of stop off point for the toilet, and I was bursting. I was ready to go. My bladder was like, I am at full capacity. You need to empty me now. Went into the mall, went to the toilet, and the kind of like olden days version where it's not like a Apple Pay, scan, use your card. There is literally this woman that sits at a desk all day outside the public toilets, or sometimes even inside, and is like, it's €2 for a piss. And I'm like, what? Well, maybe it's a bit cheaper than that, actually. I don't know. But imagine, I just could not imagine that in the UK. Like, it's just such a culture shock. Like, we just don't have that there. Just someone sitting in the toilet all day being like, okay, give us some money. I don't know. Like, you wouldn't have that in, Brighton Mall. You just go in, you have your wee, and there we go. Bob's your uncle. But so anyway, I got all the way there, and I couldn't, she wasn't taking Apple Pay. She wanted the real deal. She wanted the cash. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to walk all the way back to the car, grab some euros, come all the way back, and then have my wee. It was torture, but I did it. It was fine. It was all good. And to be fair, the public toilets are always clean, so you get what you pay for. Although one thing that we did notice, we had this in the UK as well, so I'm not judging based on the countries that we visited, but there were a lot of men that, men can wee a little bit. Sorry, this podcast has really we've gone for a different route today to finish off today's episode. But as you can probably imagine, most men find it a little bit easier, not all, but some find it a bit easier to stand up and have a wee. So a lot of the time we were at service stations, and there were just a lot of men standing in the bushes, and I was like, okay, I don't want to know what he's going off to do, but I think we can all imagine. Don't worry, we're keeping the podcast family friendly. We're keeping it PG, but I'm going to leave it up to your imaginations. But yes, they went for a little wild wee. So we did notice that, and me and Pip were like, well, tell you what, they're saving some money, saving some toilet paper. Anyway, on that note, I think we are going to finish off today's podcast episode there. I really hope you enjoyed hearing about what I got up to while I was poorly, what I got up to on a horse simulator, and also my update on European toilets. So on that note, we're going to finish it today. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Redpost for sponsoring the podcast, and I will see you all next time. Bye!